Welcome, everyone.
I'm Flo. I use they or she pronouns. I'm part of the board with Alistair. We've been here for about a year. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I'm Alistair. She, her pronouns. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, and make sure, also, if you haven't introduced yourself to somebody, please take the time and just hello. If you want to share your pronouns, do so. Make sure you respect people. So take a moment, say hello. We are all good people here. Let me see it. Turn, and say hello, hello, hello. Great. Thank you. Ah, so sweet. Great. Okay, as y'all are doing that, I'm just gonna do quick housekeeping. Bathrooms are going to be through the double doors that you came in, to the right. Yes, if you're facing the double doors, it's to the right. Gender neutral. Everybody needs to go pee in the same way, so just respect the stall rules. And if you need any elevator accessibility, the elevators are through this door on my left, your right. You can take yourself downstairs. Anything else am I missing around housekeeping?
No, I think these will do the rest.
Cool. All right. And welcome to folks online. Thank you so much for coming. Woo! I appreciate you showing up. We see you kind of, and in our spirits too. I'm going to take some time to introduce our performer, first performer of the night. His name is Troy Osaki. If people who know, please. He's the great-grandson of Filipino and Japanese immigrants. Troy Osaki is a poet, organizer, and attorney. What? Troy, I didn't know you went to law school? That's amazing. Okay. I've known Troy a little bit, but I was like, that's a recent development. Okay. Osaki is a 3-time Grand Slam poetry champion. Woo! Earned fellowships from many places. Kunaman, Hugo House, Jack Straw Cultural Center. He was awarded a Ruth Lillian Dorothy Sargent Rosenberg Poetry Fellowship. Wow, that's a mouthful. From the Poetry Foundation in 2022. He's also a 2022 to 2023 critic at large for Poetry Northwest. His poetry has appeared in The Margins, Muzzle Magazine, Tinderbox Poetry Journal, and elsewhere. He holds the Juris Doctorate degree from the Seattle University School of Law, where he also interned at Creative Justice, an arts-based alternative to incarceration for youth in King County, which is actually housed in Washington Hall, which is great. And he also lives in Seattle. Troy, make your way to us. Yeah! Woo, woo, woo. Yes, applause. You need this? Okay, cool. I'll take it.
All right, check. Hello, good evening, everyone. If you're excited to celebrate the Social Justice Fund tonight, can you make some noise? Yeah, beautiful. Thank you again for the introductions. My name is Troy, he, him. I'm a poet, organizer, attorney, born and raised here in Seattle. I'm just very excited to share some poetry with you all tonight in honor of SJF's 45 years of community work. I started writing poetry while I was a student at Garfield High School. Any Bulldogs? Let's go, okay. And, it was around the time that a classmate of mine was shot and killed on campus. And so, as I was preparing for tonight, I was just, reflecting on the ways in which violence still continues in our communities, especially recently, right? Whether it's gun violence, violence against houseless people, violence against the working class. But even so, I think through all of this, what I also reflect on is all the organizations like SJF that have not backed down, but have instead continued to fund community-based projects and solutions in aims to really move towards a more just world. So I just like to offer these poems in celebration of SJF tonight. And the first one is a compilation of lines from young people I worked with at the Children and Family Justice Center, I think that way, just across the street, earlier this year. So all the lines you'll hear were written by the young people, and then I put it into this poem. And then the second piece I'll end with is a poem about my grandma imagining a different world while incarcerated in camp during World War II because of her Japanese ancestry. And so the last line is, I swear I can hear the other side, referring to what's possible in the world. And I think that's what SJF is really working towards, those possibilities. So, thank you all for having me. Thank you to the Social Justice Fund. I hope you all enjoy. So this is a poem by the youth at the incarcerated at the Children and Family Justice Center. My struggle is a parking lot with no cars. It's missing the way you say my name, putting on my gray sweatshirt, blinking back hot tears. My struggle is I wish I could raise the dead. My struggle is she tells me, go pray, you're going to get through it. My struggle is the unknown chasing me. It stretches further than the longest mile. My struggle is a vial in my head, as if my fists could speak, the way we step on all the bees. My struggle is good, so good. My heart starts to scream. My struggle is I want to be forgiven. Minidoka is the first camp your grandma is incarcerated in. Crystal City is the second. You thumb through your grandma's yearbook from when her middle school self wore whatever dress her mother could conjure. Maybe it belonged to a neighbor girl from another barrack who grew out of it. Maybe it was unhemmed but fit well enough. In camp, your grandma couldn't miss school without every other kid finding out. So instead, she missed her bedroom, the daffodils off 14th near the temple, how smooth Lake Washington was midsummer. She misses her dad, who looked like her but was taken elsewhere. In Germany, a grenade goes off and your grandma is shoveled onto a train. Texas smells like pine wood and sunburn. There's an unending fence similar to before. Your grandma is back with both her parents, and the war somehow feels a bit bearable. The country you and her were born in eventually wins, and still she isn't given back her dad's laughter, his morning hum, all of what disappeared for 3 years until her family was imprisoned together. Decades after your grandma is released, she returns to each camp her dad wrote to her from: Montana, Louisiana, New Mexico, Texas. The land is bare, and whatever mess hall or guard tower was once there isn't. As if the war is done. As if there isn't a daughter who's separated from her dad. Somewhere, a daughter still is, if not in a camp, than at an airport or behind a wall. Somewhere, a dad, not your grandma, hasn't seen the sun in 3 days, hasn't breathed beyond cement walls before detainment, and still your country says it won the war, says it's proud of its name in its mouth. You are in your grandma's home as she bakes a sheet of sugar cookies. Her memory becomes a kitchen knife you hide beneath your pillow. You sharpen its blade every night. You trust no country that can smile and say its own name with so much of someone else's blood in its mouth. It's 1941, and you are at the center of your grandma's camp. She's looking at a mountain miles away. Says, sometimes I stand here, right here, staring, and I swear I can hear the other side. Thank you all so much.
Incredible. Can we give him one more round of applause? That was powerful. Thank you, Troy, and thank you for encouraging us to be thinking about the other side, because that's exactly why we're here tonight, supporting SJF. We appreciate you. And we would also like to take a moment to thank some of our sponsors who made this work possible. So thank you to all of them, and we will shout them out a little bit later in the program. But for now, we are going to move on and introduce Ty Simpson. So Ty, she, her, is also known as the storyteller in the indigenous language of the Nimipu, commonly known as the Nez Perce tribe. As a direct descendant of Chief Red Heart, Ty takes great pride in serving her community as an organizer and as an advocate. Ty catalyzed her racial and social justice organizing while studying sociology and political philosophy and public law, at Boise State University. Ty is a community organizer for the Indigenous Idaho Alliance. In 2018 and 2019, the Indigenous Idaho Alliance drafted the proclamations for the Indigenous Peoples Day for the state of Idaho and the city of Boise. In 2020, the Alliance helped to draft concurrent resolution acknowledging the missing and murdered Indigenous people in the Idaho legislature. Really important work, y'all. And as a co-director with the Idaho Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence, Ty focuses on the violence prevention and response within Idaho's tribal community. As an anti-racism educator and community organizer, Ty uses Indigenous storytelling to depict the lens of the old ways and how they protect the sacred, build strength in the community, and keep nature in balance. These principles support her work to champion radical inclusion, equity, and liberation. Please welcome Ty Simpson.
Hamakas Katsia'ao. It's such a pleasure to be with you all. And for my interpreters and translators, I will do my best to in real time translate my Indigenous language as I introduce myself. The next few lines will be in my language. Laloita kina, inem nixasa hiwis timina ilpil kina. Inem wanitwas, atit, sayapa wanitwas Ty Simpson. I'm happy to be here, and I told you in my language that I'm a descendant of Chief Red Heart of the Nez Perce tribe. I told you that in the language of our colonizers, my name is Ty Simpson, and I use she and her pronouns. I have the unique privilege of joining you all from the Tulalip Gathering Hall, just north of Seattle, on Tulalip ancestral territory, creating a real-time bridge between the Social Justice Fund 45th anniversary and the 20th anniversary of the Potlatch Fund. I contract with Social Justice Fund Northwest, and I'm deeply honored to be trusted with that work to inform how we uplift Black and Indigenous organizers on the eastern side of SJF service territory. I am from the Ninipu Nation, which is on that side of the SJF territory. So Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana is all the ancestral territory of the Ninipu Nation and many of our tribes. What I want to uplift tonight is that, we've got this really interesting political climate where it behooves these people in perceived positions of power to keep us divided, to continue to nurture divisiveness between our communities, whether it's Black, Asian, East Asian Islander, Pacific Islander, Indigenous folks. And so our work, both at Social Justice Fund and at Potlatch Fund, is to continue to nurture community in a good way, to continue to uplift and amplify the stories of folks who have been minoritized as grassroots organizers. And this is also the time to really start thinking about how we can organize without borders, right? Borders are arbitrary, they're a lie, they're imposed by settler colonization. Indigenous people have shown us and continue to operate in such a way where we honor our land outside of those borders. We honor our creation stories outside of those borders. And so when we say Indigenous, we mean Indigenous across the country, across the planet, across the continent. So I'm very excited to continue to nurture that work, both at the Idaho Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence, also at the Indigenous Idaho Alliance as well. What's given me hope these days, I've wanted to share and uplift with y'all, is that we have a very strong ancestral arc in everything that we do, right? The stories that I carry are not my own. In my language, we say titwatit inahnetsa, which means the gifts that I carry, the language that I carry, the stories that I carry were passed to me generations ago. And what I'm doing with my life, the story that I write with my life, is a gift that I give to our future generations. And I'm seeing young people come up taking very loud, amplified stances for environmental justice, for reproductive justice, for abolition, for dismantling white supremacy, for dismantling capitalism as it destroys itself, right? So what story are we going to write with our lives in a social justice movement to carry our old ways forward, to carry the best of liberation and revolution now into the future? And we need to be led by young people from Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. We need to be led by young people who identify at the intersections of queer and trans, disabled communities. Because the way that we're being led now, in the political landscape that we are being led now, we know is atrocious, unacceptable, and can no longer be allowed to continue. What should we be thinking about? We should be thinking about decolonization. We should be thinking about abolition and be incorporating all of those pieces into the way that we operate and move as grassroots organizers. We should be thinking abolition, revolution, and liberation in the way that we treat each other in equitable access to healthcare, to education, equitable salary in our organizations, y'all, taking care of each other. That is what it is to be in a place of liberation and to tell a story right now in our lives that could actively change the way that we do this work. Let's see. I think what I want to leave y'all with this evening, especially as I move into the keynote, or as we move into the keynote at the Potlatch Fund Gala, is to be thinking about the narratives that are currently being perpetuated in our communities. And this is one of the things I love about being both Black and Indigenous. We can no longer be seen as these communities that are problem-saturated, disparate, moving in a place of scarcity and a culture of poverty, because alongside the deep trauma brought on by white supremacy and settler colonization is also a really dynamic community, art, culture, language, beadwork, storytelling, dancing, music, all of that to be celebrated, all of that to be uplifted and moved into the future with us. So the story that we tell now will be a story of struggle and trauma, yes, but the title of that story, the chapters of these stories, will also be uplifted and colored by joy, by celebration, by jubilee, and by our deep smiles and shared laughter, because in that shared laughter is our medicine, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and end there and share you all deep gratitude for giving me a few minutes to talk about my work and thoughts that I'm holding as a grassroots organizer, both in the region and in the state of Idaho as a Nimipu and Black woman. I'm gonna take a quick walk through the Tulalip Gathering Hall built by the Tulalip people. It's beautiful in here. I wanna share that there is the trees that built this building are no younger than 90 years old. So there's an ancestral connection, an honoring of nature in the space that you're about to see. And you're gonna see all of the supporters and funders who really make Potlatch Fund an amazing, impactful, and meaningful organization as well. But again, continue to fight this fight. We're all moving towards liberation together. I'm happy to be on this journey with y'all. Thank you. I'm gonna turn this camera around and mute myself for a minute. And then y'all are gonna get to see, what's going on at the Potlatch Fund Gala. So thank you all, and you enjoy yourselves tonight.
Thank you so much, Ty. I really appreciated that you were saying organizing the stuff that we do work is a gift for the next generation. And that is the art, that's the work that we're doing, that's the money that we put into and the time that we got. And look at those beautiful people that is also around that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for also zooming in from another gala, double duty around gala life. And also just to say, Potlatch is a really great organization. Please consider donating to them as well. And Val, who you'll hear from about what exactly that gala is gonna be, she'll speak more on that. But I get to introduce our valiant leader, our executive director at Social Justice Fund. You got really great fans out here. I'm a big fan. So I just wanted to take the time to read a little bit about her. So Valdiana Chikoti Bandua Estes, she's a deeply melanated former refugee from the Republic of Angola and indigenous to the Ovimbudu tribe in the southern region of Angola. While growing up in Papua New Guinea, she has served in a variety of leadership roles that intersect with centering Black liberation-based practices, interrupting anti-Blackness, and gender-based violence in Black immigrant and refugee communities for over 15 years. We are in good hands. Valdiana is an organizer and an evolving abolitionist at heart on an active quest to center racial forms of abundance, wellness, joy, and equity for Black communities. She is SJF's executive director, the founder of Necessary Interruptions as a Tacoma Spanaway resident, a wife, a mother, and when she's not organizing, she is busy studying for her citizenship exam because come 2024, Valdiana will be able to vote for the very first time in her life. Yes, keep the applause going and let's welcome Valdiana to the stage.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you. You all are far too kind. I also just want to give Potlatch a shout out for folks who don't know about Potlatch Fund. They're kind of like our co-conspirators. I always use that word because this work, you got to be a co-conspirator. Anyway, and they really support, really championing indigenous efforts. So folks, I really want to reiterate, as you've heard the prompt before, please consider also giving to Potlatch Fund. So I was tasked with giving y'all a little bit of a speech. I'm trying not to read verbatim through my notes, but bear with me. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good evening to everybody who is online, to folks who I know, folks who I don't know, family, friends, community members, grantees, individual donors, foundations. I appreciate y'all coming out on a Saturday evening. And specifically for tonight's labor and land acknowledgement, as Ty has kind of already led that for us, I really want to hold some space for some doable moments. And I say this because if we're not careful, we will hold this belief that when we talk about Native communities, we will talk about them in past tense. And I really believe that's just an agenda, personally. And here are some specific promptings that I think we should lean deeply into, because we know, for one, that this land was obtained through exploitative means, and this land truly belongs to the Duwamish and the Coast Salish Native peoples. We got to acknowledge that. End of story. I know that's right. All right, so here are some specific promptings when I think about how we can uplift Native communities. Number one, let's uplift Native communities in a way about speaking about them in present tense. They are here, they were here, and they will always be here. That's number one. Number two, let us uplift and really advocate heavily for missing and murdered Indigenous women. That's real. Let us respect Native American cultures and customs, and let's also examine our relationship to this idea of Thanksgiving, y'all. Let's be honest. We have friends, family, and people that we do life with who always name things around Thanksgiving. Let's decolonize that. We need to remind people about the real history here, that Indigenous people, Native people, really suffered a plight here, and erasure was the intent of white supremacy. But as we know, white supremacy never wins. That's number three. Number four, let's pay rent to Native communities with the same energy we pay taxes to the man. Let's pay that rent. Number five, I thank you for the person in the back who's cheering. I appreciate you. Let's go. Let's support Native American small businesses, enterprises, and entrepreneurs. Let's hire Native folks to be a part of this work. It's important. We need their voices. Thank you. I will slow down. I appreciate you, Adiza. Sorry, when I get on a rant, I just keep going. So anyway, number six, let's support Native American leaderships, Native American-led leaderships and organizations and in the governance within our community. It's important that we elect folks who are from Native communities. And similarly, with that same energy, I want to offer a human rights and labor acknowledgement specifically for Black folks. Historians record that in 1619, the first African kings, queens, poets, dancers, writers, healers were forcibly taken from the continent of Africa and taken to the Americas and other parts of the world. And I know that there's been this talk about reparations, and we've heard it come and go. But I'm thinking about, again, some proactive ways that we could be thinking about showing up in a way where we audaciously are living and breathing Black liberatory-based efforts. So let me go on my rant. 6 things. And this is not exhaustive. So number one, people. Black people are not a monolith. We come from a variety of different lived experiences. And when we're telling you we are experiencing anti-Black oppression, if you are not Black, your role is not to police that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I would rather ask you to uphold our wellness and care and believe our Black survivorship. Number two, pay Black people exceptionally well. Many of us are the very first in our families to be accomplishing what we're doing in this very present moment. And due to systemic anti-Blackness, many of our ancestors have not lived that reality. I know that's right? Number three, respect Black people and unlearn practices of colorism. You see? Because oftentimes in this work, if we're honest, there still is very much a Eurocentric idea of what is palatable. So folks that look like me, we don't always see them in the front of things. And I want to say, baby, I am Black mixed with Black. That's really what it is. And when you see me, please know I have a whole host of ancestors who are right behind me, who have come and gone, and they also need to be respected. Number four, please also respect Black-led leadership. There's something happening in our movement. Sometimes Black folks, I don't even want to say sometimes. The reality is there are Black folks who will come, they will lead for a short period of time, and people will be like, what happened? They came and they went, because we don't have systems of support. So let's do that. So if you are in a work meeting or a work group, you are on a board and you see somebody who has a tendency to talk over black people, please do not come on the side to that black person and then say, or offer empathy to them privately. Be loud about how you're interrupting anti-blackness. Do it. The other piece is Black Wellness Matters, period. So when we show up in spaces and you can see that we are exhausted, please know we are living and breathing a reality where we navigate anti-blackness on the daily. And so our care should be prioritized. And then number 6, last but not least, invest uncomfortable amounts of resources to support Black-led orgs, period. Especially orgs that are grassroots led. This is 2023, and y'all, we should not be begging for coins. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. And with that same energy, I want to offer just a moment for us to also be thinking particularly, and I want to publicly name this, that the murder of Jahnavi Kandula, who was struck by a police car by Kevin Dave on the morning of the 23rd of January, speaks to anti-Asian sentiments that are still alive and well in Seattle. And that's not okay. That's not okay. We need to be uplifting Asian communities. And with that same breath, and also because I want to respect time, I have a tendency to go on rants, so please forgive me. I appreciate that you love those rants, one person in the back. I'm studying for my US citizenship exam, and this will be the first time in my life that I will ever vote. I've never been given that opportunity, being that I'm a former refugee. And I just want to name that something has happened in the news, behind the scenes, that is now only coming to surface in news spaces. In particularly, there are Angolan, Venezuelan, and Congolese refugees who have sought refuge recently because of the migrant crisis that has been happening at our border, and they're actually in Tequila. I just want to name that because that has been by design, that people don't even know that they are Black undocumented refugees who are literally in tarps and tents, and 70 of them are children. And I know this because of the efforts, organizing efforts of Palmyra and Manu. And I know they're in this audience, so I want to give them a shout out. But I would be remiss without saying that there's something else that's taking place, that trans communities are under attack. Particularly Black trans folks are under attack because there is a white supremacy agenda of erasure. And it is by design. These things are not accidents. So I just want to name, in our quest to be radical, in our quest to be thinking about what the future looks like, I really hope that we are thinking about the arc of justice. I say this because the arc of justice has been bending for immigrant farm workers who have been crying out for justice because of unfair wages. It has been bending for the disabled, gender nonconforming Asian folks who are sounding the alarms of the ableist society that we live in. It has been bending for our Pacific Island community workers who are domestic, and they have been silenced because they are living through a reality where there are abuses even in the workplace. It has been bending for the Latinx mother who is trying to put food on the table for her children so they have a fighting chance. It has been bending for enslaved Black ancestors who were violated on plantations due to horrific forms of trauma. And I'm naming this in this moment because the arc of justice is long. It is bending towards this moment. And I ask y'all, please be thinking about giving audacious amounts of resources towards communities that really need it. And I want to say for the white folks in the room, I pray that tonight you interrupt this fear of this ideology around scarcity and fear when it comes to giving, because you need to be telling your cousins, your friends of your friends about this organizing. And last but not least, may the ringing sound of our ancestors who are Black, who are brown, who are Native, may it sing loudly tonight because of what is to come. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vale. I hear you say you're voting for the first time next year, but I hope one day we can come and vote for you for president, because we need you. We need that. Thank you. Thank you. We having a good time still tonight? Good, because this is a birthday party, so we're gonna have a little bit of music to keep the celebration going. Please welcome to the stage Pale. This is a musical group of 4 Filipino Americans in the Seattle area who strive to work, reflect the true conditions of society, and uplift our movement and struggle for a genuine, sovereign Philippines through art and music. And Precious, who is part of the SJF staff, will be performing as well. Please give it up for Pale.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much, everybody, for inviting us and having us perform. This is our debut as Palay. As we get set up, I'll introduce our first song. It's called Balang Araw. It means someday in Tagalog. And it's very special, especially to our group, given that Presh has actually had the opportunity to meet the writer and the incredible organizer who wrote this song. This is a song that expresses deep yearning of a truly liberated Philippines, a Philippines where the labor and dignity are actually genuine and come from the most exploited people. We also know that the writer of this song, Erickson Acosta, was an incredible poet, musician. He was a peace consultant, an organizer who was brutally murdered by the Philippine state just this past November. So we're writing it for we're performing it not only for our struggle as Filipinos, our just struggle as Filipinos, but for his martyrdom and for all that he has done to fight for a genuinely liberated world. So this is Balang Araw.
Kababata ng mga punong kahoy, kahoy na kasing tanda na nitong lupang pinagtataan ng amihang simoy, amihang nalupa. called Home. It's another song about connection to our homeland and to our people, written by Chardo upon returning from a trip in 2014 upon the aftermath of Super Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. That's where he integrated with communities and grassroots organizations. And this song emphasizes how all Filipinos throughout the diaspora have a shared Philippine heritage and struggle. And many of our families were forced to leave the Philippines because of a lack of domestic jobs and livable wages, and also because of government corruption. And these conditions are even worse today, with continued government neglect and an economic crisis worsened by corporate interests. So for us, our movement for self-determination in our homeland bridges the gap between our people back home and for us here in the United States who have been forced abroad. So I just want to emphasize that we are linked in our struggles, even if we are an ocean apart. So this is Home. We traveled across the sea. We flew high above the mountain peaks. We met the people, we heard the thunder from their dancing feet. A different language, a different culture, but they're just like me. We just wanna be free. Wanna be free. If you take the gold from underneath our homes, where will all the people go? If you spray the land with toxic chemicals, how will all children grow? I don't know. I don't know. She's calling me back home, back to the place, the home I've never known. Staring
She's calling me back home, back to that place, the home I've never known. Staring back in my face, oh, that place, the life I could have known, the life I could have known.
That's amazing. Good job. Oh, thank you so much. Woo! Thank you, Palai, for that beautiful performance. We want to just be free. I love that line. We all just want to be free. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to be presenting our last online speaker, our beloved member calling in from Wyoming, Vicki Goodwin. Vicki Goodwin is a Wyoming-based community member and activist in her job as a community organizer for the Powder River Basin Resource Council. Vicki worked with communities around Wyoming to protect the state she loves from corporations that would destroy Wyoming for profit. Real all over the world. Vicki has been a member of ATR, former SJF name, since around 1997 and served on the board from 2005 to 2011, so a beloved community member. In addition to serving as chair of the Converse County Library Board for 6 years, she's also very active in the local and state Democratic Party, and we are welcoming her via virtual, so please take it away, Vicki.
I am really honored to be here. Thank you. I'm going to visit with you a little bit about my history with a Territory Resource and Social Justice Fund, and just then share a little bit about what's going on in Wyoming. Even though I grew up in Wyoming and went to all Wyoming schools and all of that, I somehow grew up to be a liberal Democrat who believes in social justice. This past Monday, a Facebook memory popped up from 14 years ago, a picture of Sharon Gary Smith and me standing with Sister Helen Prejean. What an honor it was to have served on the board of Social Justice Fund and to have helped guide the organization through some difficult times. Now, of course, organizations such as ours are always faced with challenges. The reason we survive is because we face those challenges head on and we learn from both our mistakes and our successes. I learned about ATR, later Social Justice Fund, as a staff member of the Powder River Basin Resource Council. And it was, in fact, the very first grant that I ever wrote that was funded by a Territory Resource. So, I have a special place in my heart. I've heard it said that you'll always remember the circumstances that bring you to an organization that you love. On a site visit, Judy Tobin explained that ATR had changed the membership requirements. I didn't have to be rich to be a philanthropist. I could become a member of a funding entity that not only knew where Wyoming was, but the kinds of issues that our state faced. As a member, I served on granting committees and attended site visits all over the region. Those experiences continue to give me hope that social justice prevails. Around the time Territory Resource became Social Justice Fund, I retired from my community organizing gig and was invited to join the SJF board and given the opportunity to work with some amazing activists. And then I started a list, but then I realized that would take up the rest of my 7 minutes and I would still forget some pretty amazing people. So just, but I am honored to have had a small part in shaping this organization. Which brings me to Wyoming. I do a little comparison for you. The Seattle metro area has around 4,019,000 people in approximately 700 square miles. By comparison, Wyoming has a population of 579,000 in an area of around 98,000 square miles. We are the very definition of rural. Our economy is based largely on fossil fuels, so we ride the roller coaster of coal and oil prices. When coal, gas, and oil prices go up, the rich get richer and there are jobs for everyone. But what does Wyoming do when prices go down or alternative energies are found? The legislature buries its head deeper in the black goo of the past and refuses to move on. Now, we Wyomingites, we like to think of ourselves as just rugged individualists. But fear of losing a lifestyle that ended almost a century ago made many here more susceptible to the lies of Fox News and Newsnet. Legislatively, my state has become one of the most far-right, radically red Republican states in the nation. I love how I did all that alliteration there. Now, these are Republicans. You know, the people who support businesses at the expense of human life, who think corporations are people. However, they passed legislation telling fossil fuel businesses, like Rocky Mountain Power, that they can't close down their coal-fired power plants. Republicans who don't want others all up in their personal life, but who want to tell your doctors what they can and cannot do for you. In the past two legislative sessions, Wyoming passed draconian anti-choice laws, which would have made even care after a miscarriage illegal. What has saved us so far is that in 2012, when the legislature was bucking Obamacare, we passed a constitutional amendment that stated each competent adult shall have the right to make his or her own health care decisions. So right now, both those laws are being challenged in court and are under injunction, so our citizens still have some stability to choose how they care for their bodies. Wyoming has yet to pass Medicare expansion. Our legislature does very little to help low-income citizens, has no desire to fund schools, and is determined that we not teach anything but safe Christian-based values to our children. 25 years after the death of Matthew Shepard, they continue to refuse to pass hate crime legislation. And even though the former president carried the state of Wyoming with 70% of the vote, our current Secretary of State wants to make our elections more secure by guaranteeing that only Republicans can vote in elections. We have a very vocal, and it is a minority, who will tell you that there are only two sexes, and anyone who says differently has an agenda. Personally, I'm not sure what that means, having an agenda. In Campbell County, the local library board finally succeeded in firing the library director because she refused to bend to the Moms of Liberty and ban books. Wyoming has some big problems, but throughout the state, pockets of people continue to organize to change the dynamics of our home. You may know that my husband, Sissy Goodwin, was a well-known crossdresser who defied social norms and dressed in the manner that he was most comfortable. He died in 2020 from a brain tumor. A playwright from Los Angeles, Gregory Hinton, wrote a play, A Sissy in Wyoming, based on an oral history I recorded and Sissy's own words. Last fall, Gregory and I toured with the playwright's reading of the play to 9 venues around the state. Several of SJF's past and present grantees helped promote the readings. The Riverton Peace Mission had to replace posters almost daily because someone removed them. It's about as fast as they put them up. Approximately 600 people attended the readings around the state, and we were rewarded with standing ovations. Talkbacks after the readings led to insightful discussion about gender identity and surviving the red wave. The tour earned 2 national awards and 1 state award. I mention this because it shows that not everyone in Wyoming is against everything. As discouraging as it sometimes feels, social justice fund support makes a huge difference in our state. Because we're small, we're cheap, doesn't take a lot of money to promote change, and I just want to tell you that we in Wyoming appreciate the support that have been given to groups like the Riverton Peace Mission, Wyoming Equality, Voices Jackson Hole, Powder River Basin Resource Council. So many of the organizations that make a difference in our state are funded by Social Justice Fund. And so I want to say thank you for seeing us and for helping make change happen in our state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vicki. We appreciate the work that you're doing, and shout out to everyone in our 5-state region that's joining us online. We appreciate you all. Thank you. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Joy Elise Davis of Imagine Black. Hailing from Cincinnati, Joy Elise, she, her, graduated from Miami University with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and from the Parsons School of Design with a Master of Arts in Theories of Urban Practice. She is the founder of the award-winning Design and Culture Lab and an assistant professor at the Pacific Northwest College of Art. Wow, I didn't know that. Nope, Joy. Currently, Joy Elise serves as the president and executive director of Imagine Black, where she helps our Black community, and I'm talking about Portland, y'all, our Black community, imagine the alternatives that they deserve and build political participation to achieve those alternatives. When she is not winning awards in organizing and being an amazing person, Joy Elise enjoys spending her time with her 2 loves, her Emmy-nominated husband, Rob, and her Whippet rescue, Trudy Ann. When Joy Elise gets a seat at the table, and I'm gonna say this slow, because this is true. When Joy Elise gets a seat at the table, she swiftly dismantles the old furniture and she makes room for more inclusive spots led by Black and Indigenous folks. I hope to be here when I grow up one day, y'all. Please welcome to the stage, Joy Elise Davis.
Thank you all so much for having me. Before I get started, because I am a person who likes to over-prepare, I have some things I want to say, but I first want to hold some space and acknowledge the attacks that are happening right now in Palestine by settler colonialists, and I think it is important for all of us to remember that none of us are free until all of us are free, and I encourage you and invite you to take some time tonight or early tomorrow and just learn more about what's happening and keep them top of mind, because genocide is continuing to happen to the folks we care about. Whew, so if you need to take a breath, because I do, there's a lot happening. I also want to say that I'm super honored and grateful for the opportunity to celebrate 45 years is a big deal. 45 years of investing in frontline communities to dream and build a better Northwest. This is, again, a big deal, and I want to thank all the many hands and the folks that are putting in a lot of labor tonight, but then all the time to make sure this work happens, so thank you. Again, my name is Joy Elise, she, her. I'm super proud to be the president and executive director of Imagine Black. I'm even more proud to be a grantee of Social Justice Fund. Thank you very much. We are a Black-led, Black-serving abolitionist organization. We work towards building Black political and civic power in Oregon. We aim to work with Black folks and voters across the state to get educated, to be organized, to be engaged, turning out in large numbers in alignment with the movement for Black lives. We do this because Black Oregonians deserve so much better than what is given to them. It's given to us. Simply put, Black Oregonians are not progressing and we're moving backwards, and that's due to strategic structural racism, anti-Black racism in institutions and policies at the local, state, and federal levels. We believe at Imagine Black that changing them requires political power. One, again, through organizing, leadership, and action. I'm gonna keep saying these three things over and over again. This has to happen during elections, but most importantly, it has to happen outside of elections. This is ongoing work. We do a lot at Imagine Black. After nearly 15 years, I've not been there for 15 years, but the org is 15 years old. I want to clarify because respect needs to be given. I'm proud to share that we're still working to uplift progressive Black leadership. We're still organizing, we're still prioritizing Black radical imagination. We believe this world was dreamt up by someone, and we think and we know that Black folks deserve to dream up new worlds and to build policies and to build the world that we need to be whole. Oh yes. And then, we're still using art and creativity to win campaigns that translate into real, immediate improvement of our lives. We know that Black folks deserve more. They deserve to be connected, thriving, resilient Black community members that build on the legacies of our elders, that embraces the opportunities of today and invests in our shared future. We refuse at Imagine Black to be treated as an afterthought, to be pacified with empty rhetoric. That's why in 2019, we became the first Black-led and Black-serving org to become a 501c4 political organization in Oregon. Woo. We know that the only way for true liberation is by centering the folks who are most impacted. That's why we use a Black queer feminist lens in all the work that we do, which, oh yeah, learn about it. It's a political theory and practice developed out of Black feminists and LGBTQIA+ liberation movements. Simply put, it believes that we need to understand the conditions of all Black people. We need to highlight and prioritize folks who are further away from power. We need to make sure that we are understanding that liberation for all people can only be realized by lifting up the voices, experiences, and prioritizing the issues of historically silenced and vulnerable Black groups. That means Black queer folks, Black trans folks, Black gender nonconforming, femmes, Black disabled, working poor, Black formerly and currently incarcerated, and Black undocumented people. If we are not centering those folks, we are not doing the work. It's hard work and it's ongoing, and it requires constantly checking yourself, being held accountable, and learning and growing. We do a lot with just a small team, like many Black orgs. You heard earlier, we are doing a lot, but it's not a flex with limited resources. We're super, super grateful for the many donors, the foundations, the folks like Social Justice Fund that allows us to be our true, authentic self. It's really hard in these grant applications where you have to play the game, and it's nice to just put our hair down and say it like it is, and it's nice to be with our community. So I thank you all so much for letting us do that, for funding our work, for trusting us that we are capable of base building within our own community. I know that we, the folks in this room, the folks who are not here tonight, we have the opportunity to dismantle the status quo and build systems and build new systems that have harmed and oh gosh, let me say it again. We have the opportunity to dismantle status quo and systems that have harmed Black people for far too long. My invitation to each of you tonight is to find a political home, to show up for Black people, and to donate tonight to Social Justice Fund. That is what we are doing here. Now more than ever, we need intentional engagement in all aspects of the political process. Like I mentioned, this is not a one-time event, this is ongoing work, and we need resources to do that work. The work that we do, I will say in closing, includes endorsing candidates. We raise awareness on issues that impact our community. We are filling positions of appointed boards and commissions. We are mobilizing Black voter power in races that are often overlooked. We don't need to speculate on the consequences if we fail. We've all seen what happens when we are not politically engaged. This is a critical moment in politics, and this is a critical moment for Northwest. Despite what anyone says, we do have the numbers to make this vision of Black political power reality here in the Northwest. And I'll leave you with that a new world is waiting, a new Northwest is waiting. Like, I invite you to help us build it, to help us dream it. Again, to donate first tonight and do some research on what's happening around the world. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Joy. That is incredible. And also the continued message of like centering the ones who are most impacted in this liberation work. And we also need more than money, right? Like we need each other. And I love that. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for being here. All right, y'all, we're getting closer to the end. Hang on, stick with us. Thank you for all you giving your attention, eating the food. Please keep eating and keep drinking. If you want to. Sorry, that's not a force you down there. I'm going to move into the last part-ish of our program. I'm going to bring back my co-MC, Alistair, and our fellow board member, Bax, to the stage. They're going to share more about why and the reason to donate to SJF, and why is it so important right now, as you've heard so many of the speakers tonight. So please welcome to the stage, Bax and Alistair.
Thank you, Flo.
Thanks, Flo.
Sure. So hey everyone, you know me by now, Alistair. And Bax and I are here with a very important ask for you all tonight. We've seen a lot of amazing speakers. We've been excited about this work and the way that SJF has been able to hold so many of these groups and these hopes and these dreams aspirationally. And so now we are going to ask you to donate. But first, I'm going to let Bax introduce themselves.
Thanks. I'm Bax, they, them, and I joined the SJF board last year with Alistair and Flo and a few other folks. Before that, I was connected to SJF as the Oregon Development Manager and donor and supporter. Alistair and I are both part of SJF organizing groups, WDO and Radical. WDO stands for White Donor Organizers. We organize other white SJF members around moving money in ways that decenter whiteness and have supported SJF's grant making to people of color-led movement work.
And yes. And I am on a subcommittee called Radical, which stands for Radical Donors of Color for Collective Liberation. And if you were part of Radical, could you just raise your hand? I know y'all in the back. I love you all. And at Radical, we are a collective of people of color working together to build a collective, shared, and radical perspective on philanthropy, formed to address the lack of collective influence we have as people of color in philanthropy. So we would like to take this space with you to talk a little bit about an ask. But actually this conversation is more about showing up tangibly for communities of color. And it's about ensuring that reproductive rights, grassroots organizing, and so many of the other issues that we've heard about tonight can continue to be supported by SJF.
As you've heard so clearly tonight, the need for progressive grassroots organizations is always urgent, always. But as we near an election year, as the issues so powerfully named here today continue, it's imperative that as a progressive movement, we are organizing. Right-wing conservative groups are at it right now, and it's as important as ever that we prioritize funding the work of SJF and of our grantees, such as Imagine Black and others here tonight. Alistair and I invite you to join us by making a donation to SJF tonight, not out of scarcity, not out of fear, but out of hope. And I would say audacious hope, to echo Valeriana earlier. Hope that together we can continue to build a multiracial, cross-class movement that honors Black lives, Indigenous sovereignty, that celebrates queer joy, and that cares for our planet. Yeah. We know it's possible to construct a world where all of us are liberated, and it starts by putting in the groundwork tonight.
So we are going to ask you to take a moment to utilize the QR codes on those tables back there, or the donation envelopes that are also on those tables. And tonight, SJF is trying to raise $100,000. We have already raised $40,000. So can we close it tonight? I think we can. We see these donation envelopes being passed around now. And while everyone is donating and giving generously from the heart, we would like to share our birthday wishes for SJF as SJF celebrates its 45th birthday, this big one. So I will just say that my birthday wish for SJF is that as traditional philanthropy pulls back from promises, as we see the backlash or blacklash, if you want to call it that, as we see philanthropy tend to go back to what it was, that SJF remains a beacon of progressiveness and of centering community in its grant making and all of the functions that it does. And I think that SJF will continue to be that beacon for years and years to come. So happy birthday, SJF. That's my wish.
I made a long list of birthday wishes. They involve record-breaking wealth redistribution to Black-led organizations. They involve being at the forefront of transforming philanthropy. It's a long list. But one of the ones I wanted to share with you tonight is, as a person who takes myself entirely way too seriously, but also as a person who calls SJF my political home, I had a deeply personal wish for SJF's birthday, which is that I wish for joy and tenderness and deep connection in the midst of the struggle that keeps all of us in this work together for the next 45 years. Happy birthday, SJF.
Okay, thank you all so much. And as you're continuing to fill out those donation forms, I am going to introduce two SJF staff, Emily and Adiza, who have a very exciting announcement. So please come on up, y'all.
Hello, I'm Adiza Ame. Hi. Hi.
And I'm Emily Chu. We both use she, her pronouns, and we are both new project managers at SJF and facilitators of giving projects. Before we tell you more about giving projects, we wanted to introduce ourselves.
I'm new to SJF as a staff member, but I've known about SJF's work and been in community with SJF members for years. I'm a facilitator and educator with roots in Nigeria and Seattle. And before arriving at SJF, I worked primarily in youth development and education. Abolition, anti-capitalism, and Black liberationist frameworks give me hope for future generations. In addition to a good game night and chisme session, I thrive on good beats, flavorful food, and floating on large bodies of warm water.
I am an alum of two giving projects, Environmental Justice in 2017 and Queer Justice in 2022. I'm third generation Chinese American. I grew up in Seattle and spent the last 14 years teaching high school English before coming to work at SJF. I love reading, snuggling my two small pups, and eating any kind of noodle, and I'm super excited to be partnering with Adiza in this next giving project.
So what is a giving project, you might wonder? Part of what we're hoping to raise funds for tonight is our upcoming giving project. So in case you need a refresher, giving projects are a participatory model of funding which moves money to grassroots organizing for long-term progressive social change.
Giving projects bring together a diverse group of people of varied class and racial identities who are passionate about social change and want to strengthen their skills in fundraising, grant making, and community building to support grassroots organizations. We guide participants through a 6-month process that supports them as they fundraise from their communities to eventually grant out those funds through a democratic process of collective decision making.
So apart from the opportunity to move material resources to grassroots organizations stewarding social justice movements, participating in a giving project is a great way to expand your political education knowledge base, form new relationships with socially engaged members of our cross-state network, and engage with your family, friends, and broader community in a completely new way.
So, we are excited to announce our 2024 Environmental Justice Giving Project, scheduled to begin at the end of January 2024.
Woo! For the purposes of this giving project, we're defining the environment as the spaces where we live, work, learn, play, pray, and heal. This grant cycle will fund rural and urban organizations working at the intersection of environmental, racial, and economic justice to create sustainable, self-determined, and just communities.
We would love for you to consider joining us for this giving project, which will be fully online, and we'll be sending out the full schedule and a link to the application this coming week. In the meantime, if you have any questions, we'll be mingling around during the dance party, so feel free to pull us aside. We'd be happy to talk with you. Hooray!
Thank you so much.
All right, y'all, that's it. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Emily and Adiza. As we said earlier, please do not forget to donate. That QR code is on the tables, and those envelopes are hopefully in your hands. And I also want to take this moment to say thank you to the SJF staff who put all of this together. Happy birthday, Aisha.
Aisha put in work, y'all. You need to give props to Aisha right there. Yes, yes. We know planning an event is hard work. And then the last few things before we launch into dance party, we have lots of food left over, and want to thank so much to our caterer, Off the Res. Consider them for your own catering for an event. They also have takeout boxes, so load up. Yeah, you know, every good party means you have leftover food to take home. That's love. That is love, and we love y'all. And then remember, in the back left corner over there, have you seen that lighted up stage? It's a 360 camera. So if you haven't gone over there with your friends, do a little, do what you need. Just put it on your social media, tag us. And then finally, we're gonna clear this front part of the stage to do the dance party. And then we'll just party up for the rest of the night. So thank you again so much. Thank you for coming out, and have a good night. Woo! We love you, SJF. Oh, and there's cake. So you want some dessert. 1 chocolate, 1 vanilla. It looks delicious.
A birthday party without
And
cake.
exactly, it's a birthday party. That means there's cake. If you want my last dad joke, come up to me, and then we can talk about you being a board member.